Greetings everyone, and welcome to Animated Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Hazbin Hotel, Season 2.
Yep, Hazbin Hotel, Season 2, Episode 3. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back from our animated Night in the Dojo. And well, last week, the episodes were pretty much interchangeable. You could have put them in either order. It really didn't matter. Not saying that you can't do that for a lot of things with, shows that have a bunch of stuff going on at the same time. The order doesn't really matter because everything's happening in the same, couple hours or day or whatever. But, this was one of those things where you could look at it and go, yeah, that happened at the same time, and arguably the Angel side, you could make an argument that that was the one that should have gone first, even though we would have gotten none of the, main cast. You know what I mean?
That's why they didn't make it first. That would have been the stronger opening episode, but they wouldn't do it purely just because of the fact that it didn't involve any of the main cast.
Yeah.
And not involving the main cast in the first episode of a season, I wouldn't say it would be a bad move, but it would be a very weird move that most people wouldn't be willing to risk doing.
I suppose. However, I counter with the fact that you released the 2 episodes at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you'd be waiting for the usual week to see the main cast. You literally had to wait till you finished that episode and then got into the new one. Which, I will say this. The midnight release time, to me, is insane.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And the rampant spoilers that are out there for this kind of thing, I think it's even worse on a midnight release. Yeah. Because if it's traditional 5 p.m. release, doesn't matter what coast, whatever. If it's 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock West, whatever, it doesn't matter. Or 5 o'clock East, 2 o'clock West, whatever. Traditional airtime for any kind of TV show, you're going to have far less nonsense, because then you're at least going to have probably a reasonable majority of people that would be like, oh, Hazbin comes out at 8 o'clock. I'm going to watch both episodes tonight before I go to bed. You know what I mean? Not, oh man, this is releasing at midnight, so there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, we're not doing it. I mean, we're usually up around midnight, but I'm sure as hell not turning on all my shit at midnight. You know what I mean? So it's just, I think it's kind of an insane release time, because it just further exacerbates the people that rampantly spoil stuff, which that's a whole other, discussion. But it just becomes, there are far less people that have actually seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the midnight thing, just ends up resulting in there ends up being a bunch of people who did watch it at midnight, and so they've had plenty of time to actually make spoiler videos and stuff like that by the next morning.
Yeah.
And then also, one of the things that's been kind of an issue with this one in particular is friggin' Prime keeps trying to, they upload all the songs and stuff like that to YouTube, and they go really far out of their way to try to peddle them. So, I've already had basically all of these songs and this, what their names are and stuff like that, spoiled for me just because they keep popping up all over the freaking internet.
Yep. So, it's just a bad look. It's a bad release model. It's not how this kind of thing should be. There needs to be a better way to handle this kind of stuff. Obviously, you're not going to be able to stop people from making, what we're doing, reaction and stuff, but we're not showing anything. Let's be real. With our new timer reaction stuff, that's on you guys to watch it alongside of us. And then when we go into the discussion review, I'm showing still frames, the stills of the week over here. We're not showing, anything. Nothing audio, barely any visual. So, it's just one of those things where if the company itself is doing it and not giving people enough time to, digest it reasonably before they tell the ESPN app to ping you for the 80th time today, that,
Yeah,
just creates this culture of, welp, I need to be up at midnight, otherwise it's going to be spoiled because I'm going to get 800 pings on my phone off of, everything that's being uploaded about this because, whatever social media you're involved in, any and all of them, if you're part of a reasonable amount of them, you're just going to get pinged on your interests constantly, and you're not going to be able to avoid it. And spoiler alert, not everybody can sit down at midnight and watch something, let alone, if something, say, comes out on Wednesday night. Not everybody has Wednesday night at 8 p.m. open to watch it, even if it's on a streaming service, or that night. You know what I mean? They might not be able to, sit down and watch the show till Saturday or something because of any various reasons. So it's...
Yeah, them putting out the music and stuff like that as videos is fine, but it should be at least a couple days after the episode comes out, not a couple hours after the episode comes out.
Yeah, especially on a midnight release. So a couple hours is, 4 a.m., 4 to 7 a.m. at least for the Americas. So it's right up there with the binge culture of, Netflix releasing the entire season of something on the same day. Not only is it actually bad for business, once again, I don't care about the billionaire companies losing money, but I'm talking about just retention and stuff like that, and just forcing binge culture on people, which is insane, causing even more spoilers to happen. So it's just a bad look all around. But either way, not much we can do about it. Hell, we're recording here at in the afternoon. I had stuff to deal with this morning, so I couldn't, get on this morning. And again, even by 10 a.m., say you get up at even if by the time you get up at 6 a.m., that's 6 hours that have passed, and there's already going to be people who've uploaded stuff on it. That's just how it is. So
yeah, like I said, I've barely been on the internet. I've been up for 2 hours at this point, been deliberately avoiding most of the internet, and I've still gotten several of the songs names spoiled for me, and been pretty easily capable of deducing some of the stuff that's going to happen in the episodes because of that.
Yeah. So there has to be a better way to deal with this. First and foremost, set the release time at 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? It's a streaming thing. It's not like you're competing against Monday Night Football or something. You know what I mean? It's an on-demand. So if people are interested in it at that point, you're not competing with anything because they're going to watch that. You know what I mean? So it's just mind-boggling that this is how we get this kind of thing. So anyway, as for what's going on in the show, we talked about the majority of that last week, so I don't really need to really hash anything. The episodes are there for you guys to check out. So especially going off on this massive rant that we've gone on here, we just kind of want to push button on the episode here. People who are watching timer reaction, there were 2 ads after the pre-roll this time. So going forward for the rest of these, I'm just going to pre-watch the ads so that they're watched and I can just watch the episode all the way through. So, all I have to do is click on the ad and it will fast forward to the ad, play the ad, then it'll be removed from the player, and then the next one as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the future, is just watching the ads before we watch the episode, because I'm not seeing anything. I'm just clicking fast forward on the bar here straight to where it shows where the ad is, and it immediately plays the ad. The second the ad ends, I just go to the next one, plays, and then I hit freaking rewind all the way to the beginning, and the ads are gone. So yeah,
that's really the only thing, is it's just it saves the potential interruption, but risks minor spoilers of potentially seeing a couple random still frames of the episode.
Yeah, which I saw Vaggie talking to Charlie. Oh man, can you guys believe Vaggie talks to Charlie? That's fucking crazy. So anyway, that being said, people on Patreon, on the other side of the edit, as always, will have the timer reaction, and if you're ready to, but see the discussion and review after the edit. So we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. Another fairly impressive episode, even with that random animation oof at the end with Angel's hat. But, that kind of thing happens. It's just probably one of those sequences where it was just kind of forgotten, or At one point, maybe it was he doesn't throw his hat down, and it's just kind of like a holdover kind of thing, because not everything is animated in order. You know what I mean? So,
or even by the same people.
Yeah, or even by the same people. So sometimes random nonsense like that slips through the cracks. So you can kind of see it as like a production Easter egg. You know what I mean? Because it's really not that big of a deal. It's not like you're stopping animation 3/5 of the way through, and you only got like the first set of cell shading, and you're wondering, where's Yuji's face?
Or a more extreme example of that is of this like oof situation here is freaking apparently in One Punch Man, one of the fight scenes that recently happened involved this character that like fights Garo or something, and literally has a gender swap mid-combat.
Right. Because I remember seeing that it was like it's like a guy with like longer hair. It was established that it was a guy, and then like in one of the frames, all of a sudden, boom, tits.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's friggin' drawn as a girl because they friggin' outsourced that particular set of like 30 some frames to some independent person who never actually watched One Punch Man, and just quickly glancing at source material thought it was a female character.
Yep. Way to not confirm anything. Take the like 3 minutes to confirm that before you do your work. It's brilliant. But yeah, either way, I'd say this is a fairly classic like interview shenanigan episode. That's what you'd call it. You get a lot of episodes like this with characters like Vox that just like kind of go around, and they don't. Most of the media doesn't report actual facts. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Everything is sensationalized these days. Like I said, I made the joke about people wanting to like sensationalize weather reports and stuff like that these days, and it's just like, I mean, listen, if people give a shit about the weather report, they just want the facts. They don't need entertainment. You know what I mean? I don't go to the Weather Channel for entertainment. I just need the facts. If it's like, I'm flying to a place and what's it going to be like there or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be entertaining. The news is not supposed to be entertaining. It's just supposed to be spitting out facts. That's it. There are things like this that are supposed to be entertaining and not supposed to be giving you facts. You know what I mean? You don't go to, freaking a sporting goods store to get a freaking hot dog. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? Dante's Inferno is a restaurant in hell.
Yeah, because why not? I mean, that was great. That was a hilarious reference. But either way, it was just... They hit all the tropes when, Vox tells Velvet to, like, send all the stuff that she put together. And, the incredibly classic, just super biased media with, them and their shitty edits, and then, like, putting all the, like, flamboyantly, like, bold text and stuff like that, the buzzwordy nonsense, you know what I mean? That if you have half a brain and know it's bullshit, but it somehow works on so many people, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it's only $9.99. I'm not spending $10. You're spending $10. No, it's $9.99. You fell for the jingle. Stop it. You know what I mean? So it's just that they hit all the tropey nonsense. That was great. I will say that I lost track of how many different outfits Velvet had in this episode, but
that's kind of just been her gimmick so far, is just that once again she's a fashionista and's always changing her freaking outfit around.
Yeah, so you gotta appreciate that. You gotta appreciate Vox's just nonsensical using his electricity teleportation gag. It's not even really a gag, it's just kind of how he moves around through, like, electrical signal as part of his thing.
The gag is just that once again he is 100% narcissist and doesn't freaking care about the other two at all.
Yeah. So it's just that he even when he was just moving like 3 feet, he would use it, and then there at the end with it was probably kind of like glossed over, but he just completely leaves Velvet at the top of the elevator, and he's already down in the car, basically. And she's just like, he did it again, which maybe he can take people with him, but probably not. But she probably just kind of sees it as insulting that it's going to take the same amount of time. You know what I mean? He's going to have to wait for her, regardless of if he teleports down to the freaking limo or just gets in the elevator with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is always friggin' hilarious when they just kind of like have that as like like a background, just like extra thing. But yeah, this bit here at the end with them like doing the upload and stuff like that is it's sensationalism media that just, you know, it's been going on for the longest time. That, you know, they're like schmear campaigns. You see it with like political ads. I'm sure you've seen it. You know, not that we try to get too political in here ever, but most politicians, they don't campaign on what they are going to probably not do themselves. They campaign on what the other person is failing at or is going to not deliver on. You know what I mean? It's always just attacking the other people and not like running a platform on what you intend to try to do as your platform. So it's the same thing as like, you know, in the case of the V's, they don't like Charlie and they want to paint her in a negative light. So of course, obviously they're not going to report any kind of factual anything and just run the sensationalized, you know, entertainment side of things. But it's just like, well, those Vox specials like said that you're doing this and you're a terrible person and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but you don't know me for real. So what good is a TV special? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't know the person for real, any reporting, no matter how credible, is still dubious. You know what I mean? So sometimes you don't know. I believe I told this story before where take NFL Hall of Fame voters. There was this one voter who came out, and, you know, you have to be a fairly big deal in the journalism and football community or just any sporting community or anything for any kind of like major voting, right? And to get a vote for any of these kinds of things, no matter what it is. And he actively came out and said, I will never vote for Aaron Rodgers because I don't like him. That's not your job, man. Your job is to objectively assess the player's career and whether they're worthy of the Hall of Fame based on their career, their statistics, all that kind of thing. It doesn't matter if you don't like him. You know what I mean? So, unsurprisingly, that dude lost his vote. And that's kind of more or less the thing that you kind of want to see with like media and stuff like that. Is that's why the fact check stuff that has come out for Twitter, that kind of thing, that's what we need more of. You know what I mean? Just like viewers might want to know that, you know, this person is bullshit and here's the actual facts with like, you know, however many different cross-referenced like actual sources that have, you know, actual facts behind them. You know what I mean? So more of those kinds of things really, really need to come out. And it's kind of like well in line with like a lot of the stuff that you see on YouTube these days where, you know, a lot of the like people that cover drama stuff. How many times has Hassan been done? At least 4 or 5 times a week, like his career's over. Not that I'm a Hassan fan at all, but I'm just saying, you see it with any of these people that like have a bunch of drama around them. Anybody who's covering it, their video titles are, he's done, it's over. It's like, it's never been over though. So you guys really need to stop. You know what I mean?
For the Hassan thing in particular, it's kind of a meme to do it to Hassan. Like,
yeah. I get it, but it's still
started it. But it's just kind of turned into like anyone who covers Hassan's stuff now just insists that he is done with everything, just kind of as a meme. Like I said, the Nuck started.
Yeah, I get it, but once again, you see it not just for him, just like anybody else that like screws up somehow. Like say, you know, one of the more recent things was all the stuff that happened with Emaru in at TwitchCon and all that stuff, and then everything that came out about her ex-boyfriend and all that stuff. Look at what happened to Pirate Software. Yes, his fandom has fallen off a lot, but he still has people that thousands, tens of thousands of people that follow him. You know what I mean? It's not like being done to me is like done. Like you have nothing left. Not, oh man, I still make millions of dollars a month. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with a lot of those things where it's sensationalized and people believe it, and then it's just like, nobody ever calls these people on their bullshit reporting of like, this person's done. It's like, no, they're not. They're still around. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Just because they're not like super upper echelon, oh man, they're not in the hyper 0.0001% anymore. Let's not pretend like they're not relevant to the people that still follow them, for better or worse. That's their decision. But you see that kind of stuff with like a lot of, and like Asmongold does this a lot. One of his big time clickbaity titles is "This game changed my life." He's had like 800 games that have changed his life in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? It's absolutely insane. Did that game really change his life? Absolutely not. You want to know why? Because he's not playing it anymore. If the game actually changed his life, he'd probably still be playing it. You know what I mean? So anything that's life-changing usually sticks with you and you keep it around. So that's just kind of one of those things.
He got like 4 streams out of playing at the ball pit, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's just that's the kind of shit that's the kind of shit that just aggravates me just across the board. Is what boils down to clickbaity nonsense without any repercussions for your bullshit. Like you see it a lot. Like one of my pet peeves is like the stuff in sports journalism where they talk about like X player, whoever it is, the new star pitcher, he had a super amazing year, surefire Hall of Famer, he's going to be like a 10-time All-Star. And then 2 years later, the guy's fallen off because of injury or just, the league caught up to him and figured him out. And now he's just like an average pitcher or whatever it is, doesn't matter what sport it is. And then there's none of those guys ever own up to it. You know what I mean? Well, I think I told this story too at one point in one of the videos was Kendrick Perkins. Can't stand the guy. Another ex-player that just got handed a job at ESPN as a talking head. Probably cost a lot of actual journalists their jobs, just like most of those guys do. He came out, and there was a thing with LeBron a couple years ago where he was going to take a pay cut so that the team could like sign more players and stuff like that. And Kendrick Perkins comes out there and says, "I will cut off my left toe if LeBron takes a pay cut." LeBron took the pay cut. Where's my toe? You know what I mean? Stop being an asshole. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's that kind of nonsense. You know what I mean? Just be real about it. You don't have to go to that length and then have zero repercussions for your stupid bullshit. You know what I mean? You can absolutely believe in a player coming out of college or their first couple years, or they have like a breakout year and say, hey, this was a great year for them. If they can keep that up, they will definitely get into the Hall of Fame. But we'll just have to see, because you are not a freaking fortune teller. You don't know the future. They just say these things so that if on the 5% chance that they're right, they can point to their stupid clip from 5 or 10 years ago and say, hey, I called it. Okay, it's fun to call things, but it's completely another to be wrong about 95% of the things you say just to have this sensationalism media. Like, look what I said 5 years ago. And meanwhile, you are correct 5% of the time and have zero repercussions for potentially putting a lot of pressure on these players, because in this day and age, everybody has something to say about everything. And a lot of these people, players included, see a lot of these clips, and that could subconsciously affect them. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's one of the reasons why, I typically have a lot of theories for things going right in my head for the stuff that we watch. But you typically only hear me say 2 or 3 of them over a course of a season, because I'd only really say them when I'm pretty damn sure they're actually going to happen. Yeah. There's plenty of crackpot ideas and theories that I come up with, and I'm running through all the possibilities in my head and stuff like that I just don't say because friggin' credibility. It's just I'm not going to sit here and, there's maybe a 2% chance that this really outlandish weird thing could possibly happen because it sprung up to my mind. Yeah. And that's pretty much what that kind of stuff is that I'm talking about with sports media and stuff like that. Or even with actors, an actor will burst on the scene and then you never see him again. You know what I mean? It's like, this is going to be the next, you know, Oscar-winning person. They're going to dominate. It's like, how do you know? Like, just because they had one good day? I don't get it. You know what I mean? So there are unlikely heroes out there, that kind of thing. You just have to deal with the fact that you can't make everything super freaking interesting, you know? And to me, when you lose credibility because you just say, that guy's a Hall of Famer, that guy's a Hall of Famer, this is the best thing ever, this is the best thing ever, it's like, do you actually watch the sport? Do you actually pay attention to whatever it is you're reporting on? Are you serious? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that just really gets to me. And I've had my theories and stuff like that, but I always say, this is ridiculous, and this has like next to no chance, but I just want to mention it because I think it's funny or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the credibility side of it, it's just like, do I really think this is going to happen? No, but I will laugh really hard if it does. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And if any of our stuff ever doesn't come about, it's just like, hey, we talked about that. We were wrong. It was what it was. You know what I mean? But we never firmly stand behind it saying, no, this is totally what's going to happen. And, you know, we try to stay as real and as objective as possible. And a lot of these people just kind of like play it off as like, oh, that's our job to be entertaining. It's like, no, it's your job to be a reporter and be able to analyze any player or whatever it is and be real about it, because then all you're doing is overhyping something. And then especially in the day and age where everything can be bet on down to like balls and strikes and whether or not, you know, like the player is going to run out of bounds on the next play or something, you know what I mean? It creates a lot of animosity to these pro athletes and, you know, betting culture and all that stuff that goes on with that. Everything is a domino effect these days, man. So yeah. You've really got to watch what you're doing. So it's that's huge rant aside. The V's. There you go. That's exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? So that was V adjacent. That was pretty much the premises of this whole episode, was them doing everything that we just talked about. And screwing Charlie over.
Yeah, well, it's less Valentino, but
yeah.
Vox and Velvet are definitely all about sensationalizing things.
Well, I mean, it's not like Valentino has to sensationalize the porn industry.
Yeah, no, like, once again, Valentino is more just kind of the muscle of the group. Like, he's the one who has all of the lackeys and friggin' and all the contracts and the ability to just like get people to get shit done.
Yeah. But
once again, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And Fox and Velvet are the two who have to actually friggin' keep things together and plan stuff out.
Yeah. Which here, Age did talk about this, and I wanted to point this out, was I know a lot of people were probably, like, I've seen a lot of people like confused, like, oh, Velvet doesn't make potions. Really? What's she doing right here? I saw a lot of posts about this. It's just like, you know, what are people talking about? She doesn't use potions. What is she doing right here? Literally Witch's Cauldron and floating potions. Suck it, nerds.
all three of them have some method of controlling people. Vox has hypnosis through his eyes. Velvet uses potions to emotionally manipulate people. She literally, like, one of her big things that she makes her money off of is selling love potions in bulk to people.
Yep.
And then frickin' Val has his like moth scales.
Yeah.
Similar to like Shia Poof.
Yeah. So again, but once again, stop talking shit when you don't know what you're talking about. Because then you're gonna be disproven by right there. You know what I mean?
We also, on a similar note to this, we finally got some form of in-universe reference to the type of demon that Velvet actually is.
Right.
And Husk referred to her as a Barbie.
Yeah.
She's a doll.
Yeah. So, it's kind of the little, like, context clues like that, because that is definitely a demon type, would be a doll. So, Either way, the other like major part of this episode was the whole cherry bomb stuff, which well, we kind of talked about this before. Was a lot of characters that have set plans or might not have a lot of like plans going forward, but then become fan favorites like Penchis. Also get that means if Penchis gets elevated, that means Cherry Bomb has to be elevated as well.
Yeah, 'cause originally Cherry was just supposed to be friggin' Angel's semi-toxic friend.
Yep.
Who was supposed to be kind of a bad influence on him. And friggin' Penchis was just supposed to be a one-off villain just for the pilot.
Yep.
But people really liked both of them. Penchis in particular, so Penchis got written as a major character, and as a result, Cherry was also becoming more of a major character because people liked her, and she's now connected to two major characters, not just loosely connected to one.
Yep. Yeah, especially, you know, now that they had that whole song with them. Probably the best song in this episode, because the other ones were very more factual and just kind of like what was going on, you know, so...
Oh, also, this song is literally just called Piss.
Yeah, it is. It's right there. You guys can see it. It's right there. See, it's right there. Piss, a love song. The fact that they have to put that in parentheses is exactly the kind of thing that you want to see.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you wouldn't expect this to be a love song when you just see a song titled Piss. So you want to tell people, hey, this isn't a song about piss, it's actually a love song, which creates actual intrigue, not false intrigue. That is how you do it. I need to know how a song called Piss could possibly be a love song. I'm going to listen to this. You know what I mean? That creates genuine interest that makes sense. And it's not clickbait because it's an actual love song. So, yeah. It's definitely kind of interesting that characters like this get this kind of like turn from like their original like intended use. And it's always kind of neat to see when that like they become like major parts of any series, and some of them become like arguably some best parts of some series. You know what I mean? Because the author had never really thought about it, and then it's just like, oh, well, people really like this character. Yeah, I could do something with it. And that's where constructive criticism comes in, is just like, hey, if you give people just genuine feedback on what you like, that could make the series better. It can't always be negative feedback. So,
yeah, like the other big examples of this that like I always go to is once again like Roman and Neo from RWBY were never meant to be any sort of substantial characters. But freaking Roman was like one of the favorite villains for the longest time, and then freaking Neo is like still probably one of the most intriguing characters in the whole series.
Yep.
And then freaking the like prime example of it, period, is still freaking Nanachi from Maiden Abyss.
Yep. So it's always nice to see stuff like that come about where you kind of like know it as like just like from a background perspective of the series. Like not everybody looks into that kind of thing and just kind of like wonders that kind of thing, but that's what it is for these two characters. They weren't supposed to be. They weren't originally part of like the blueprint for Hazbin Hotel. They were just supposed to be like, you know, the villains of the week kind of character. You know what I mean? So
yeah, once again, Penchis was only meant to just be a one-off villain exclusively to the pilot, and then Cherry was just supposed to be freaking Angel's toxic bad influence friend who just kind of came in and impeded his development occasionally.
Yep. Which obviously that's not the direction they're going now, and especially now that here at the end we see her taking key and her telling Angel that she is deciding to stay, which has major implications, obviously. So we got another episode to do, but presumably at this point Heaven's on lockdown, which means nobody can get in. redeemed or not. So them trying to force all that redemption during the episode with Angel. Again, we talked about it during the episode. You can't do... You have to counter your sin, which, you know...
Yeah, the whole point of redemption isn't just go do a bunch of good things. It's make up for the bad that you did.
Yeah, which in Sir Pentius's case, a bunch of people lost their lives because he didn't act in any way. So self-sacrifice would be the hard counter to that sin. You know what I mean? In the case of Angel, I'm not entirely sure what the hard counter to murder would be in the universe. You could make a bunch of assumptions, I suppose, but that one's probably a little bit more... Murder is generally seen as the worst thing that you can do. You know what I mean?
It's generally considered to be one of the most damnable sins, but yeah. We don't know the context to his backstory or anything like that beyond just... We know some random character traits about him because of like stuff Vivzi said, like that his whole family was mafia family.
Right.
And we know his brother is in hell and his sister is in heaven.
Yep.
But apart from that, we don't know anything else about his family.
Right. So, things we can theorize and then be wrong about later. If he killed his dad and he's still the same character, it could be like a freaking Moxie's dad situation from Hell of a Boss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He could have been bisexual, whatever, and his dad was super against it and whatever and pushed him to an extreme and he ends up killing him over it. You know what I mean? It could be something like that. Random theory. Just based on the tiny bit of information we've been given here.
Yeah, I mean, freaking Angel's confirmed gay even in life, not just as a demon. And he was alive and like I don't remember what it was. I think it was... I want to say it was like the 50s or something like that, but it was like... I don't remember if it was in Prohibition or shortly after Prohibition, but either way, he was freaking part of a mafia family around that time.
Right. And in the case of that kind of stuff, era definitely matters. Products of eras, that kind of thing. That's another thing that is going around a lot these days, is people looking into history and going, well, how could they have allowed that? It's like, because that's what it was like back then.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is not stagnant and the same as it is now in modern age. You know what I mean? Well, once again, there weren't a lot of minorities in 1650s Finland. So, yeah, that was probably one of my favorite things of recent memory. Is there was some like random historical documentary kind of show on like Scandinavia in like the early 1600s, and like these guys that were running the show were from Scandinavia, obviously. And then, the atypical, modern journalist is like, well, why don't you have any minorities in your show? It's like, you're kidding, right? How many black people were in Finland in 1600? You know what I mean? Just like, learn some damn history, man. We're not excluding anything. We're doing a factual account. We're not making a fictitious, anything. If you're making up a fictional show, you could get away with it. Doesn't really matter. But if you're doing historical documentation, basically, yeah, there weren't a lot of, minorities, again, or what would be minorities wherever, just people of other race in Finland in 1600. They were all like 99.9% white. Okay?
Which, Vivzi has actually spoken some on the topic in the Helliverse, including like their Earth and stuff like that. Homosexuality and stuff and violence pertaining to that is a thing. Like the only thing that's different in the Helliverse slightly is just that homosexuality isn't considered to be a sin in their universe. Right.
So yeah, That was all. Yeah, this was a lot, but it all pertained to everything that was going on, so it was relevant. I figured we should talk about all those things, because not only do they pertain to everything that's going on in the show right now, they have major impacts in the real world that really need to be looked at and hopefully will change in the future. Because the worse it gets, the worse it gets. So, anyway, that's all I got for this episode. I'm enjoying it. We got one more to do, so it'll be interesting to see if, like, Alistair shows up, finally does a thing. He's been very standoffish so far. Doesn't really seem to want to, like, be involved in anything at the moment, probably based on the deal he did with Charlie. We haven't got anything else on that yet. That'll probably be coming. And then the whole, just Alistair in general. What was this, like, original, the stuff that he talked about in the song in the first season of, like, what are his initial chains and what does he have to do to break them, and what are, like, what's the deal? You know what I mean? So there's still plenty of that to get to.
Like I said, I know context, not context, but like some of the stuff for what's going to happen in these episodes. And next episode is a very Alistair focused episode, from what I can tell.
Got it. I mean, he's in the key visual, so there you go. Or at least the Amazon still image that they have here on Prime. So anyway, that'll do it. We've been going on for quite a while here, so I'm gonna wrap this up. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, however you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out here in the dojo for more animated Night in the Dojo. And this was Hazbin Hotel, Season 2, Episode 3. Again, there are 2 episodes a week, so this will be coming out on Saturday, and tomorrow you guys will see Episode 4. And there are 8 episodes in this season, so this will be going on for another 2 weeks after this. So
we're probably getting 3 songs next episode as well, because once again, it's confirmed for 20 songs, so that would be about 5 songs every pair of episodes.
Right, so if we got 8 episodes, 20 songs, right around there. So everybody have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.